Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be taking you through our brand new plugin, Seismic Bass Amp Suite. So we're going to start with the top bar section right here. If you click the Modern Metal Songwriter logo, you will see that your license is registered. It'll tell you what version you're on, and also this is where you can turn oversampling on and off. For this example, I've left it off. You can navigate over to the gate tab where it will bring up a gate and you can adjust the threshold of it. You can turn it on and off, bypass it. Very simple, easy to use. We also have a tuner. It's very self-explanatory. This is where you tune your bass. We also have this EQ tab where you can open it up and you can sculpt your tone even further and get a lot of precision with this. You just click one time to add a new band. You can right click this, you can delete the band, you can select what type of EQ, low pass, high pass, low shelf, high shelf. It defaults at a peak band EQ, but if you want to cut off any high end for whatever reason, you just click low pass and bam, creates a low pass shelf. So yeah, I'll show you an example of how you can mess with this EQ real quick. Comes in handy for fast on-the-go EQ moves. And now we'll take a look at the main bass amp. So over here on your left-hand side, you have some contour switches that you can switch on and off. What this is doing is just emphasizing that frequency range on the bass amp. So if you want to emphasize your lows, you would turn the lows on and then adjust the volume knob right here. Or you can leave that switch off and adjust the volume just by turning the knobs. I'll show you an example of the contour switches and the knobs real quick. That helps you sculpt what overall sound and tone you want from the bass amp head. So you come down here, you can adjust the crossover of your frequency ranges per amp. You can also grab them on the amp head itself and adjust it like so. We have our input knob, and then we have our quake knob. What the quake knob is doing is it's adding subharmonics to the low frequencies of your bass. So if you really want a boomy bass or something that's super intense, you would want to crank this up quite a bit. I'll show you the quake knob real quick. You can get a little carried away with that in the context of a mix, so I would suggest to be careful. Moving on to the main section of the bass head, this is where you would select which amp you want. We have 3 amps, including a DI signal to choose from. So all you would have to do is come down here, click inside this rectangle, and you can choose between amp 1, which is a low gain amp 2, which is kind of your stereotypical all-rounder, I like to call it. And then you have your amp 3, which is going to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more modern, and it's going to have a little bit more gain than the other amps. And then each knob down here below the amp selector adjusts how much gain you're applying to that selected frequency range with the crossover that you have selected. And then underneath this, we have a multi-band compression slider that you can slide up and down to get better control over that specific frequency range and the crossover. So if your low end is getting a little too crazy, you can kind of slide this to the right and tame that and bring it in a little bit more. Moving over to the right side of the amp, we have a post EQ. As you can see all the points, we have a low shelf, 200 Hertz, 500 Hertz, 1K, 2.5K, and then a high shelf. Moving on to the enhance knob, this is just applying an EQ curve from one of our favorite preamps for bass, and I'll go ahead and play this and kind of shift through the different curves that we have so you can hear the difference. We'll start with off, and then we'll go from left to right. For this example, I left it at curve 3. All right, let's jump on over to our pre-FX page. Starting left to right, we have a fuzz pedal. This fuzz pedal is super cool. It's based off of something that's super classic to be used with bass. You have a bass boost switch, and you can make it dry if you would want to. You can add more sustain. It's very fun to play around with. We have an overdrive pedal that's based off of one of the most classic overdrives for bass. We have a compressor that has a few different ratio options for you to select from, a few different modes like FET compression or VCA. You have a blend knob, so if you don't want all of the compression, you can blend it in 50%, 25%. There's really a lot of stuff you can do with it. You can adjust how much compression you're getting, your attack and release times over here. And then our next pedal that we have is the modern pedal for bass distortion. And it has all of the selections that you would imagine and that you could want in it. Also, up here, you can adjust your signal flow. So if you want the overdrive first before the compressor, or the compressor before the overdrive, or however you want to line this up, you can using this up here. Moving on to the post effects page, we have a modulation pedal that sounds something like this. You can get really goofy and creative with this one. Just a fun little pedal. And we have also provided you with an additional post EQ. It's a little bit different than the amp head post EQ. You can tell over here we have 200, 500, and over here we have 31, 62, 125. So you can really do even more additional sculpting after the fact if you really wanted to. All right, moving on to one of my favorite things about this plugin, our cab section. So this cab section features 2 cabs, a 4x10 and a 1x15. And it features 5 mics, a 52A, a 421, a fat ribbon, a U47, and a sub mic. You can adjust the position of the mics by either dragging it or using this position knob. You can adjust the level of each mic on each side, the distance they are from the cab, and then you can pan it left or right if you want to. We also have a blend slider down here. So if you want to hear more of one mic over the other, you use this. You can blend them, have fun with it, create whatever tone you would like. This would be a good time to mention that you could disable any of these pages at any time by just clicking the words underneath each page, so you can bypass and turn those off. So let's say you had a third-party cab plugin that you wanted to use instead of ours. You can just simply click that to turn it off so you can use yours. So it's easy as that. And yeah, I'm going to take you over this plugin a little bit with this bass soloed, kind of tinker with some knobs so you can kind of get a feel for how things sound. So for that, I'll take you back to the default preset and we'll mess around with it. And let's dial it in a little bit in the mix. Sounds pretty great to me. I could tame that low end a little bit more, but we'll save that for some future videos. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below and we'll be sure to answer. We hope you enjoy Seismic Bass Amp Suite, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out or contact support. Thanks for watching and happy songwriting.